we in Facebook land? It's always so weird that I don't have the interaction here, but it's okay. So our topic today is virtual listing presentation. So obviously, we continue to have changes going on in the market, etc., right? So not necessarily the market, but in our world, in the area. Are we closing? Are we not? But we're still, the great thing is that we're still moving forward with real estate. Real estate is absolutely amazing right now. And so we are, this gives you an opportunity to, okay, what all do I need to do to get ready for a virtual listing presentation? If you happen to be in a situation where the seller is like, you know what? I'm either out of town or I prefer just to be virtual, right? So what we can do with that is, one, we want to make sure, okay, are you prepared for a virtual listing presentation? So the question, it's like, okay, what do I need to do? What's the technology? I'm sure, we're like 4 months into this, so I'm sure that you guys are all prepared, ready to go. But you want to make sure when you're getting ready to have a virtual listing presentation or a buyer consultation for that matter, that you really, step one is that you atmosphere, right? You create a workshop atmosphere that is supportive to your workflow, right? So whether you're here at the office physically or you're at home, you want to definitely clear out a room or area in your home, right, that you can fully utilize as your workspace, etc. Just maintain that structured setting. Then 2 is the equipment, right? Make sure you guys have dual screens, the dual monitors, your camera, etc. I know I was getting ready to do a training with an agent, and she realized that she didn't have a camera on her desktop. So, we just want to make sure that we're fully equipped. And then I think, we utilize Blue Jeans here. At the office we're doing both, right? We do Blue Jeans and we do Zoom as well. So just make sure that you have all the necessary tools for, performing virtually. And also there's a paid version of Zoom, which is $14.99 a month, that gives you unlimited time on your meetings, etc., and you can record them, so on and so forth. So, if there's things that you happen to not necessarily understand about Zoom, we've still been utilizing it. We've been utilizing it for 4 months now, and there's still stuff that I'm not sure that I know everything about. And then if you ever want to utilize BombBomb, then definitely do that, right? So scheduling, this is the same as whether you're going to, the checklist for your virtual, right? It's the same thing that you guys are doing, whether you're going there in person or you're doing it virtually, right? The only difference is you're just physically not there, right? So you're still doing the same tips. You are still pre-qualifying the seller, making sure that they're motivated to sell. So you're scheduling the appointment. You're sending the link to the seller, right? You're choosing that unique private ID, so on and so forth. So you just make sure that the seller too is set up with their smartphone or their iPad or their desktop, etc. And then you just, you prep the seller. So if you don't have an opportunity to meet with them physically, right, make sure that they're sending you either photos or taking a video of the home. So this gives you an opportunity to really see what it is that you're going to be selling, right? So have the seller prep the home, right? See if just let them know, we need to see the house. So it's not that we're just trying to, we have to be able to make a good assessment of what we need to do to get the home sold, what price that we're going to set the home at, etc. Okay, so you just want to make sure that you're utilizing that, and then make sure that you show up early. get on your Zoom meeting at least 10 minutes before, 10 or 15 minutes before, so then they can, that they'll be prepared, and if they happen to be the early worm gets, the early bird gets the worm, then you're there ready for them. So obviously launch the meeting, and then you start with the actual presentation. So this is all about being prepared, right? So I'm going to share my screen with you. Okay, we were playing a little bit of Michael Jackson, so we had that. So you want to be able to, how can I move this? There we go. So you want to make sure that you have your tabs all set up and organized for your presentation, right? So I have my listing presentation, I have the Cloud CMA live report, I have their net sheet, and I have the property profile for this as well. So like I said, you just want to make sure that everything is prepared for you. So, just let them know, hey, I know and understand you have a lot of choices when it comes to agents and companies, and I really appreciate the opportunity to meet with you. I know this may be a little bit different, but, how are you doing? Are you doing okay? And you reaffirm and continue to ask the questions again, why are they selling? You go back through the pre-qualification to make sure that you understand exactly what their motivation is, etc., to be able to sell. So even though, like, a lot of times when we get there, it's like, hey, why don't we take a minute so you can show me around your home, right? Well, we don't do that if we're doing this virtually. So we can, like I said, if you had them before, take the pictures or send you videos, then this would give you an opportunity to be able to discuss that. And then, like I said, you just continue to go through your typical questions, right? So, tell me about some of the most desirable features of your home, right? If you were a buyer looking at this home, what are some of the features you might change, right? And tell me more about that, and how much would that cost? Because sometimes, sellers are, they're already have completely redone their house, and then some of them are just like, you know what, I don't want to spend the money, right? But then remember, we have our KW concierge that we're able to use as a selling tool as well to help evaluate if it would be worth their while to invest a certain amount of money to get them up to really selling standard. So, you want to have them tell you more about that. How much would that cost? You're just having that, you're having that face-to-face conversation with them via Zoom about what their home is like and what's important to them. And then who do you think is the ideal buyer for the property, right? And that's all depends on, where the home happens to be, so on and so forth. So, it's like, okay, now we're going to cover, right? Let me share with you what we're going to cover today. So based on my experience, there are different areas that we need to be looking at, right? So there's a couple ways that you guys can do it. We have the different options, right? So, but remember, it's a conversation. What is your motivation to sell this home and the timing to get it sold, right? Because some people, like right now, some of the sellers are taking advantage of the market, right? There's low inventory. They feel that they can kind of get in a bidding war and be able to get more for their home. So basically, what you're going to do is, the timing to get it sold, what I'm going to do to expose your property, to get the highest number of qualified buyers. It's all about pricing and exposure, right? And how much the property will realistically sell for. And ultimately, why I believe you should choose me, right, as the agent to sell your home. And then, like I said, you go through, you said you were moving to Maui, right? And you're moving because you're retiring or whatever their situation may be. But you want to get to the root of this situation and really find out. So you said that you were thinking about a price of $1 million. In order to make the move, all we need to do is sell this home for you so we can get you to Maui in the time that you want, right? So it's all about pricing. But, we're just talking about a virtual listing presentation. And like I said, it's all about preparing. So you can take them through, right? When you go into ChrisNet or whatever, MLS that you have, right? You create your comparative market analysis, your listing presentation. Obviously, this one is pretty extensive, right? I just added all the pages in here for you guys to look at. But on this listing presentation, you can scroll through it this way, introducing the KW Concierge Service. But remember, just take the time to pick the ones that are applicable to the seller that you are having your listing presentation, your listing appointment with, right? So they have all these different things that you guys can utilize. And probably a lot of it will depend on, what the price point is, etc. But I just kind of wanted to give you an idea of all the different inserts that you can have. And also keep in mind, guys, when you're doing your CMA, you can utilize the KW Calabasas or KW Coastal, right, West Side, etc. You can use that particular template, or you can use the luxury one, right? Because we utilize the different logos. So we have the before and after, right? Artful staging, high impact photography, the print media. You just want to make sure that you're including all the stuff that you're going to utilize for your marketing plan, right? And you can also customize your marketing plan to show the additional things that you're going to do. We have technology-driven marketing, so on and so forth. So like I said, you always want this queued up. And our 3D Matterport, which I absolutely love, it's just amazing. In our internet marketing, all the different websites that we go out to make sure that they get massive exposure, etc. And then our kw.com, social media, right? This is a very, very impressive listing presentation, right? So you can utilize this, right? Or if you want, you have the other option, the Cloud CMA Live Report, right? So you can share this with them as well if you want. What is the CMA? The comparative market analysis. So they have the different tools in here that you can utilize and go through this type of presentation. But whichever you do, it's all virtual, right? You share the screen with them and you're going through all the stuff. So this particular property, we're looking at the seller for this 858 Cheltenham, right? They purchased it 4 years ago and they want to sell it. So here are their different comps. So this is just another layout. So you guys get to pick and choose which you feel most comfortable providing for them. But you can see how it is very, it's interactive. You get to show them, it's beautiful layout, etc. So you can talk about the average pricing, the pending sales, the active under contracts. So this particular, listing or seller in this area, average days on market, 5, right? Okay, 6. 5 and 6. I mean, good golly, that is, things are just going so quickly. Like this one sold in 4 days, but they have these great graphics, etc., for you guys to be able to share with them on a virtual basis. And then they have average price per square foot, the time to sell, online valuations, estimated market value, commission distribution, intelligent pricing and timing, and then back home, right? So now you can go into the comp. So that CMA that we were there covers all the aspects, right? So these are just a couple different ways for you guys to be able to share your actual listing presentation. And then you can also, like I had laid out here, the property details. So it's like, okay, just to confirm, Sean and Lillian, right? This 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,016 square feet, built in '62. We have a little over 10,000 square foot lot, right? You purchased the property for $600,000 back in 2016, so on and so forth, right? So like I said, you want all this laid up and your tabs all organized so you can effectively and efficiently flow through your presentation, right? And then you guys just have to be cognizant and feel what you feel most, do what you feel most comfortable with as far as what layout you want. Because this one is, more like interactive and then this one has all the pretty stuff, right? So you can actually kind of utilize both and say, okay, I want to point out, the KW concierge. I want to point out my internet marketing and my 3D. So you guys all know that you can go in and pick and pull the type of marketing materials that you want in your actual listing presentation. So you can utilize all of it. And as you can see this, it's beautiful, right? It's great stuff. And then you also want to include your net sheet, right? So I just pulled up, I did one of my net sheets real quick from an old one, First American Title. Sorry. I'll have to get the one from Clearmark Title as well. So a lot of times I just utilize the net sheets within, I know we can go and call our escrow people, right, for estimated net sheets from them. But a lot of times in a pinch, let's say maybe it's even over a weekend, that I'm heading for my listing presentation, go into your tools from your title company, right? So like Clearmark Title, if anybody needs their login or credentials for a particular title company like Clearmark Title, please let me know, and I'll go and reach out to John Macias for you and get you all set up. But I always strongly recommend you have a net sheet with you, because remember, you have to make sure that the sellers are ready, willing, and able, right, to be able to sell their property, that there's enough equity in it, and also what they're wanting to net, right? Because you never know. They're just like, okay, you know what, Stephanie, we really needed 100,000. Maybe we need to wait a little bit. Or, it's all about setting the expectations. So I always recommend bringing a net sheet as part of your listing presentation, right? So that obviously meant that you have, that's questions that you ask in your pre-qualification as to how much they owe on the property. So then you're able to get the appropriate net sheet for them. Like I said, it's always an estimate, but this is something that is a necessity in my eyes, right? So I know some people don't, some people do, but it's all about making sure that you have that you're setting the expectations and everybody is totally informed about what is going on. And even, for example, they're just like, hey, is there anything else that's come on the market, or can we look elsewhere? You can always then make sure that your CRISNet, right, or your MLS is up and ready to go, that you can do some searches together, maybe expand the search for the CMAs, but you just want to be absolutely prepared for your listing presentation. Hold on, there are a couple things that was so funny. So I got some more, because there are obviously, as the times are changing, there's more objections that are coming out, right? So there's some things that I want to share regarding 4 ways to overcome the number one listing objections, right? So the biggest thing you want to do is make sure that you convey to a homeowner that they're the ones in control, right? Like when you're trying to get them to the listing price, etc. You want it to be, you're guiding them, but you want to guide them to get to the price that you feel will cause their home to sell. So, there are 4 ways to achieve that objective. Like number 1, tell them that they can extend the closing to meet their needs, right? Because I know a lot of people are concerned. There's issues all the time about when the escrow is closing. There's some delays with lenders. There's some delays with with escrow, there's some delays with getting reports, etc. Just because basically overnight, right, business boomed, right? They were predicting a V-shaped recovery, you know, and the housing market, the housing sector definitely did that. So we're there to solve their problems, to find solutions to any concerns that they may have, right? So tell them that they can extend their closing to meet their needs, right? That is one thing to be able to utilize that and help them, because it's not necessarily a one size fits all, right? So everybody, especially with some of the buyers, they're willing to accommodate. The sellers want to accommodate. You know, there's a lot of negotiations that are happening right now. Just everybody's maneuvering through this crazy time. So just know that, you know, that helps to put them at ease. And then another one is sell now, rent back, right? I've seen, you know, some people go into, you know, leasing situations. We have this one where they're doing a 60-day rent back. Does that make me a little uncomfortable? Yes, but, you know, we have the forms to address that. So anything basically 30 days and over, that's a different form that they have to sign, because then they're going into a tenant situation. But if the seller is concerned about, you know, possibly not finding a place, right, because of the shortage of inventory, then that's an option. Because like I said, remember, we are looking to be provide the solutions for them. You know, make the sale contingent on finding a new home. We've had that too here recently, where we have a contingent upon the replacement property, right? Some people, because remember, a lot of times, unless they're investors, they're emotionally attached to the house that they are purchasing. So therefore, it's, you know, make the sale contingent on that, right? Because if the buyer truly wants it, then they will hang in there. I know Eileen had some deals where, you know, she had this listing in November, it finally closed, but it took a couple of different buyers to get it through, because she had to find a replacement property, but people understand that it may take a little bit time. And the ultimate control, saying no, is always an option. You know, remind the homeowner that if things don't work out to their satisfaction, they can always turn down any offers they get, right? Like I said, we are the professionals. We're there to advise them. We're there to educate, inform, and serve. So we just do the best that we can to guide them in the right way and advise them. We can't tell them what to do, but we can advise them based on our experience of what's best for them. So, like I said, there's no interaction here, so I don't know if we have, doesn't look like we have any questions on Facebook. I know there's a couple of us joining here actually jumped on Blue Jeans. Do you guys have any questions at all? Yes, no, maybe so, no? Okay, so yeah, and then, you know, you go, like I said, you would have your marketing plan pulled up here as well, and just let them know. You can also pull up the marketing statistics, right? Everybody wants to know what's going on in the market, right? So we can tell them what's going on in the market from a macro level, right? That you know, we're seeing price increases. We have 5 days on the market in this particular area. We're seeing 15 days on the market in this area. So you guys want to be cognizant of what's happening in your market. Like I said, from a macro standpoint and from a micro standpoint. So when you are going to on a listing presentation, please make sure that you pull up the statistics for them, because you never know what kind of personalities that you're going to get there. You get this engineer type that is just like, okay, boom, 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 give me the numbers. If you have a driver, they just want the bullet points about what's happening. This is the price that will cause it to sell. This is how many days on market. We're seeing, you know, people are getting 110% over list price, et cetera, based on if they price it correctly. So you just want to make sure that you are always have the answer. So you have your market statistics and your marketing plan. So with your market statistics as well, the things that you want to actually inform them of is total active inventory, right? And like I said, you can go into your MLS, pull up the statistics portion and share that with them. Total active inventory, new listings, homes sold, average days on market, expired listings. Those are the things that you want to be able to share with them. So if you happen to be a ChrisNet person, you would go over into the stats portion, right? And you can pull up whether it's residential, you can pick the MLS area or the city or a particular subdivision or what have you, so then you can let them know what's happening. So this is all stuff that you want to have prepared for your listing presentation, right? And then, then when you're going through your CMA, right, you're discussing with them, hold on here. Sorry. The comps, right? So, hey, are you familiar? Obviously you're familiar with this area. This house happens to be a half a mile from you. Have you seen this particular home? This one is almost just like yours. You have 3 bedrooms, 3 baths, 20 square feet, basically the same size lot, etc., right? So you take them through all these their comps. Ideally, right, you want to have some comps there that are one that's just like theirs, one that's better than theirs, one that's not as good as theirs. In this particular neighborhood, there was like nothing available, right? There's no actives. There's active under contract and 2 pendings, right? But there's no coming soon, nothing. And this was over in like the last 90 days. So there's just not a lot of activity, which we all know that we're low on inventory. So they're able to take advantage of that. So on this particular one on Westminster, it is, or actually over on, on Burton Avenue, it was listed at $675. Actually, both of them were listed at $675. They both went under contract immediately. So it'd be interesting to know what these are actually going to sell for. So is that the sweet spot on the price to be able to get multiple offers to go over? So if this were a real listing appointment, I would have had conversations with these agents to see if they could share additional information with me on the activity, how many offers they got, etc., on that particular house, right? So we want to make sure. Can't sign on to. Oh, you know what? Okay. So, yeah. So anyway, so that is pretty much the gist of it. So, yeah, so you're just sharing with them all the good stuff and getting them to where they want to be, right? It's all about, getting the listing, helping the sellers get where they want in the time they want, right? Won't that be great? So with that said, I think we are good for today. Bryn or Joseph, do you guys have any questions for me?
No, I'm all good. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, so where did I get the listing presentation? That was inside ChrisNet. So, yeah, so that was in SRAR in the ChrisNet. So, yeah, so I'm sure that you have, I don't know if you're on CLA or which one you're on, Joseph, but you should be able to utilize them as well. So you probably want to talk to I think, are you Hallie or Minnie? But talk to them and figure that out. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. Just the long and the short of it, guys. But just go out there, get prepared as much as you can for the listing presentation, and take care of those sellers. So I appreciate it. Thank you.